Serious, what was your biggest "I hope I'm wrong" moment? The ugly black spot on my shoulder. Please don't let it be melanoma, please don't let it be melanoma. I already knew it was. Fortunately, caught early with only wide excision and lymph node biopsy needed. Sounded like a tornado. I wanted to be wrong, but it tore the roof off of the job where I was working and killed one person. Had a friend commit suicide in March. He wrote me a handwritten letter and mailed me a package, but was leaving on a cruise. He got drunk, jumped, and they never found his body, but he wrote me a Discord message because he wasn't sure the letter would show up. So I spent 4 days just hoping to God I was wrong, but I knew from the first sentence of his message. Meeting a friend's boyfriend. He was an unemployed steelworker and the look he gave me was chilling. I mentioned it to her later. About a month later, she kicked him out. He still had the keys to the place. He was waiting for her one night and beat her into a coma, then sat there for 2 days as she died. When I plugged a flash drive from my father's office into my computer that contained CPN videos of my underage sister being recorded in private without her knowledge. A relative of mine was talking about how abusive his father was to him and the rest of his siblings. Then he mentioned special abuse of his sisters. It was sexual abuse. Luckily the dude died in the late 1960s, but still awful. My sister's husband is a piece of shit. Got a bad feeling the first time I met him. He's super mentally abusive and I believe he's capable of physical abuse, but haven't seen evidence of it yet. She just had her first kid with him and it was 2.5 months premature due to placental abruption. She's healthy and was being super careful. I'm skeptical he caused it. I remember a little girl back when I was in primary school. She always had messy hair, didn't talk to anyone, and would always just stare at the floor. Every kid avoided going near her because she smelled so bad. In hindsight, I think that poor little girl was likely neglected by her parents. I hope Arul find the happiness that she deserves. I had this strong, intense feeling he's gonna break up with me, but in my head I thought, no, I'm overthinking it because everything was good. Then, went to my room, opened my laptop, bam, the breakup email. Had a feeling my phone was tapped. According to the federal indictment, my hunch was accurate. Outcome: 10 years for marijuana trafficking. This was in the late 90s, today, the feds wouldn't even take the case, probably would be 9 months in the county jail. My mom stopped responding to text messages. She normally responds very quickly, so when she didn't respond to me and didn't pick up her phone when I called, I was terrified and couldn't shake the gut feeling that she had died. I hoped so much that I was wrong. But I wasn't. Went on a date with someone I had met earlier that week. Prior to the date, I thought to myself I shouldn't go because it was weird they showed interest. Told myself that was just my terrible self-esteem talking and it would be fine and I'm just being silly by thinking anything was off. Ended up being date raped, smelling alcohol on an employee's breath. Pretty small on the grand scheme of things, but still not something I want to deal with. Found a trash bag of what was clearly rotting meat on the side of the road. Was genuinely worried I had found a body. Called the cops, turns out some hunter's trophy kill fell out of his truck. It was just a buck. When my fiancée moved out because she couldn't mentally handle living together, she thought she needed to get out to be okay. I hoped I was wrong, that was the beginning of the end for us, but I got the "we need to talk" text and now it's over as of yesterday. I know life will get better, but it's still some painful shit. When my grandmother got diagnosed with skin cancer, I had a sinking feeling she wouldn't be alive by the next year. I was right. The cancer hadn't been detected early enough and was all through her body by the time she started treatment. I thought something weird was going on between my stepbrother and my sister. Would hear him leave his room at night, once caught him coming out of her room, and was overall just weird. I thought I was just crazy and overthinking things due to all the step-siblings memes and stuff. Turns out he was molesting her and I could have helped stop it way earlier if I would have trusted my gut. Joplin, Missouri on May 22, 2011. I saw this guy had gone dark out my apartment window. Checked the radar and thought, this doesn't look good. Within 20 minutes or so a large portion of the community was destroyed and well over 150 people were dead. When I suspected my husband of being abusive and manipulative, he cited me and now I'm divorcing him. Can't ignore the red flags anymore. Someone posted on Facebook that they were having a horrible day and to top it off they had just learned that their best friend died. Somehow I just knew the person she was referring to was my best friend too, but I really hoped I was wrong. I was not wrong. Saw a news article on Twitter stating that someone with the same name as someone I knew growing up had died in a pretty horrific way. I wanted to be wrong so badly and went onto this person's Facebook profile hoping, but it was flooded with RIP messages. My gas furnace exploded, house burned down while spring break with my family 1,000 miles away. Our dog didn't get out, died. My older son was at work, not having enough resources to fight back the dictator military that took over my country, killing anyone who opposed them. When I saw a rocket explode shortly after liftoff, I saw it, but it took a few moments for me to believe that that was really what I saw. My girlfriend planned on taking her own life 2 months ago. I was able to prevent that. 1 month ago I received her last text message, and let's just say my life has completely changed since then, and I'm going to her funeral next week. Came into one of the apartments where I walk dogs. Say Muna like I usually do to wake Mona the Pomeranian up to go out for a walk. She's old, and slow, but very sweet. She doesn't even stir. The instant I noticed she hadn't moved, my gut knew she had passed sometime that morning. Getting a call that my best friend had a car accident. Couldn't reach him. I was in tears. Just sat there at work and looked out of the window in a trance. My brother's fiancée. I could see and even smell the crazy on her. Sure enough, she gets in an argument with him when he mentioned one of his exes, like in passing. She went ballistic, she was that insecure and crazy. Needless to say, they didn't get married, thank God. I hoped my grandma would pull through COVID, but I knew she wouldn't. I remember my hope diminishing as I watched her slowly die. Miss you, Mama. When on February 24th I heard an explosion nearby, and prayed that I was wrong, that the Russian troops landed near my house at the Gostomel airport. When I thought my ex-fiancée was being suspect all day and I came home and she had moved out. At the time I wished I was wrong, but now that I'm happily married with 2 kids she can kick rocks. My ex-friend wanted to end friendship, I felt it coming, did not know how to stop it. He became more distant, stopped wanting me to help him with things I always did, would act like I was asking to personal questions when before we literally talked about everything including bowel movements. Nothing was too personal, but in the end I was right, and now I just wish I could go back and fix. While in the army we drove into an ambush. I hope I'm wrong, but it's weird there are no women or children on the street. Just 20-30-year-old dudes trying very hard not to look at us. I hope I'm wrong, but it's taking that cement mixer truck ahead of us a long time to cross the street. Just in case I'm not wrong, we are backing the F out of here at Warp Factor 5. Concluding in February of 2020 that COVID would be the worst epidemic since the Spanish flu. I put my money where my mouth was and bought put options though, so I kinda hoped I was right too. Has to be just a house fire in the neighborhood, not a huge ass wildfire. Nope, it was a fire that consumed thousands of acres about 30 miles away. The blast rang out, the air was black, strangely quiet minus the ringing in my ears, and the other Humvee was gone. Shoulder hurt for about 2 months. MRI showed a large slab tear and a cyst behind it, so I'm looking at surgery to reattach everything. 8 months of recovery to maybe be able to do the sports that I love, and in the meantime I'll be pretty useless and miss out on a lot of things I care about. Mine is when I was 10. It was 9/11, and I came in from school to see what happened to the towers on the news. My dad worked in the North Tower, but he was on floor 203. I immediately thought that till he's not coming home, life as we know it will change forever. I really wanted to be wrong, but I wasn't. He never came home. I walked back into the house where my significant other was having a property-destroying mental breakdown as violent bipolar, PTSD, ADHD, suicidal depression, anxiety, refuses meds with kitchen knives in his hand. He was throwing them at the wall. I told myself I hope I'm wrong and he won't kill me. I went in there expecting to get gutted while trying to talk him down. From November 2020, worried that TFG would do something drastic and extremely dangerous in January 2021, when I hoped it wasn't a miscarriage because there was no heat beat but there was still a baby and I had to be sent to a specialist to look at it, it was that my dog was gonna die. No one else noticed, but he was acting different. I hoped it would be fine, but not even a month later we had to put him down. He had over 5 seizures in 24 hours and it was hurting him so badly. He didn't know where he was or even who we were sometimes. He passed away September 2nd, 2022. At some point some group of very good hackers it's going to take down fewer than 6 companies and effectively kill the internet for most of the world. It's over-centralized and this will come back to bite us. In the Navy 3 days before pulling in after a month at sea. Speaker: hey everyone, this is the CEO. Everyone on the ship, oh god no, please no, don't be that, don't say. CEO: so I got word from the Commodore and we're gonna be out here a few more weeks. Just Navy things. The 2016 election. First I hoped Trump would lose, then I hoped he would step up and grow into the job. I was so wrong. Well, Long story. One day I might have been like 10, and was thinking about my mom and dad's divorce even though I was 8 when that happened. And I thought my dad would do something that for the stupidest reason would piss my mom off. Hoping I was wrong. Like 2 weeks later after that, she got pissed. It's now for the most part a weekly occurrence. For some reason, I had a gut feeling my ex was cheating on me every time he went back home from college. Found out after a few more months, he did, with his mom. I had a feeling my sister would be a terrible mom. Both of her kids, from different dads, were eventually taken from her by the state because of neglect. The lump on my head that wouldn't go away after a fall. Knew it was something else. Turned out to be a brain tumor. When Russia invaded Ukraine earlier this year, I really thought China was gonna use the chaos and everyone's distraction to move in on Taiwan. It was a massive "I hope I'm wrong" moment for me, when my relative convinced my grandmother that COVID shots were bad. I hope that I was wrong when I knew she'd contract COVID and die. I was not wrong. Same relative also caught COVID and likely gave it to my grandmother, became very sick and almost was hospitalized. Still anti-vax, when I forgot to flip a switch in a customer's hospital program that would allow them to use the newest software once it was installed. I ended up having to make an emergency call that night to my customer and to my emergency supervisor just to get it flipped on. Thankfully, we were able to get it done in time, but the customer promptly requested a new IT guy. I backed into the garage door as it was going up one morning when I was in a hurry. Heard the crunch and was "oh shush please no." Every single day is spent hoping that my faith and hope that humanity will get better isn't misplaced.